the definition of growth is going to be different. So does growth mean I want to increase the number of employees? Does growth mean revenue? Does growth mean profit? Does growth mean I'm going to get to a lifestyle so I could golf? How many spend more time taking care of their clients' needs instead of taking care of their internal business needs? Thank you. Be honest. It's okay. This is a non-judgmental session. So we're not going to judge. It's okay. I've been there. I'm admitting. How many react versus respond to incidents that happen? Some of you are puzzled. Why? Because a lot of you are going to say, well, react and respond is actually the same thing. Is it? How many people have just thought in their head, well, react and respond is the same thing? Good. I love your honesty. Because today you're going to be honest with yourself. You don't have to be honest with me. I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to love you just the way you are. But you've just got to be honest with yourself. So think about it. When you're having a conversation with anybody here at CompTIA, when they're listening to you, are they reacting to your conversation or are they responding to your conversation? Is there a difference now? Yes, I see a few people shaking their heads. So there's a slight difference between reacting versus responding. Responding, you're in a little bit more of control. Reacting, you're in a little bit of an anxiety state. So how do we get from you to be a little bit outside, from being anxious to being more in control? And being able to be in control with your decisions. That's what's key and that's what's important. Okay, examples that I got are audits. How do people panic? How do people go through audits? I go through a ton of audits. Okay? How do people get into a panic state when going through an audit? What about how many people, and I've been through this, go to a panic state when their partners, it could be a technology partner, changes their business model that totally impacts your business? How many people have gone through that? Exactly. So, did you react or did you respond? What's the number one mistake decision makers make? Think about it. If you don't want to answer, that's okay. But you can, for not making a decision, you can write it down. Write down what your thoughts are. Number one mistake business decisions make. What's your response?
Having emotion and making quick decisions.
Okay.
Not making a decision.
It's not making it. So a lot of you think it's not about making this. Okay, we'll get to it. What is yours?
Just reacting.
Reacting. What's yours?
Being involved, being too involved in everything.
Being too involved. Okay, I'm going to give you all a surprise answer then. But before we do, I'm going to give a little bit of, this is overwhelming. This is overwhelming for me too. A lot of things happen, a lot of things of what I had to say, and I'm very honored and I'm humbled by the reaction the market had in the terms of what I had to say, and blending neuroscience and psychology and analytics and helping businesses transform. So yes, I am a contributing writer for Huffington Post and CIO. I have a blog on CIO.com. It's called The Mindful CIO, if you guys want to follow me there. I post a lot of things over there. But yeah, the features, it's constantly growing. But I'm the executive vice president of Ackless. My mother is the owner, and she's a proud mama sitting right there filming me. And we specialize in transforming data and business performance. So a lot of our clients is the federal government. So I work with complex environments trying to transform, and the complexities of it with all the workforce, all the data that you have to deal with, everything. So, and I also help clients that are vendors and manufacturers trying to get into the federal government. So in terms of experience, I'm here to share with you a lot of the insights that I've got. So the number one biggest mistake, it's not being able to balance. There are 5 factors. 1, assumption versus fresh facts. How many of us assume we know everything? We assume, when we go to a meeting, we assume we know how it's going to be. We assume, like the person we're talking to or having a conversation with, we assume we know what they're going to say next. How many of us go through that? The majority of us, yep. To be honest, non-judgmental here. How about fresh facts? How many of us in our own business assume we know what to do next, we know and we have all the answers, instead of collecting some fresh facts? So there's a balancing effect. There are some people that come into us and say, you know what, there's so much statistics about X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 we should do this. That's a lot of fresh facts. So that is too much to one extreme, and then you have assumptions to another extreme without doing anything. So you need a balance. Number 2, where we're off balance, constructive criticism versus self-doubt. Now, when I say self-doubt, doubt among everyone, but we are also mostly doubting ourselves. Okay? So we're constantly saying, you know, we're criticizing ourselves. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should do this. We're procrastinating. Guess what? Nothing will be perfect. Nothing is ever going to be perfect when you first start. But it's a progression. Yes, sir?
Could fear also be captured within that self-doubt?
We'll get there. Don't jump ahead. Did you see my slides before you? Okay, sounds good. So self-doubt is this critical voice inside of us. And self-doubt is also this critical voice inside of our team members. Sometimes our teams are saying, why? How? Doubting. I don't think we can. Maybe we can. Maybe we shouldn't. There's that hesitation. So we need to face the facts. Why? Come on in, there's room, there's a couple seats right there. Did you want to sit down? You're good? All right, the next one is listening versus tuning out distractions. We are overloaded with data. There's too much. There's a lot of data happening. So what do we listen to? And what do we tune out? And sometimes we need a balance, because many times, ding, 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 hint, hint, you want to write this down, our clients are telling us something that we are not listening to. And I'm going to give you an example. We as a company, we were never thinking of helping manufacturers get into the federal government. That wasn't our line of business. We weren't thinking about that. Do you know how many manufacturers came to us and said, Molly, Ellie, can you help us? We're stuck. We don't know how, except blah, blah, blah. And we're like, maybe we need to listen instead of tuning out. Maybe we need to listen to what needs to be done. So sometimes you need a balance and actually listen. But at the same time, if you're listening, don't run and do everything your client wants you to do. Balance that and see if it fits your business model. That's one of the struggles that, do you see where the struggle is? Number one struggle in business and the mistakes that we make is balancing. The other one is exceeding expectations versus over-delivery. We want to please, but here's where the issue comes. Many of our employees want to over-deliver. We want to please, we want to keep our customers, we want to etc. where management is looking at the numbers and saying, we spent money on what? We did what? We're not in scope. So how do you take that balance effect? To remain in scope, please all parties. Those poor employees have to please like the customers and the management. But you know, you got to be able to balance and look at all the pictures. So that's one of the things that we don't do good. The other one is customer focus versus internal focus. And I will explain why I didn't say external focus versus internal focus. I'm specifically focusing on customer focus versus internal focus. All right. Focusing on balancing customer versus internal focus. When I say external, some people in their business model might also associate partnerships as external. And that's not the case. Your customers, your partners can also be your internal support system. So when I say customer focus versus internal, this is not a model for everybody. You got to see what fits right for you. What is your customer, is your partner your customer and your partner? Sometimes they are, because sometimes you get testimonials from them. Sometimes they help you. It's not just all revenue producing. So a lot of people think that your customer is just the folks that just are producing. So I have a next question. How many focus on efficiency in their company? Only a few, be honest. Yeah? Only a few? Okay. So you guys are focusing on efficiency. So let's talk about the definitions of efficiency. Efficiency is maximizing existing resources and workload. Right? Do we all agree on that? Yes? I want to make sure we are in agreement with definitions here. That's important. So, efficiency. Actually, I realized I have a pointer. You can aim to do more with less. Reductions made to cost. How many agree that that's what efficiency means? Doing, reducing cost. And how many agree that efficiency is rooted based on something that already exists? Something already exists, and you are being efficient on it. Right? Yes? Is everybody awake? Yeah, okay, good. Laughter there. I love that. So sometimes, how many agree that you need to make investments when it comes to efficiency? Yeah? You got legacy systems, you got, processes that exist, and you need to make it more efficient. So you need to actually invest. Hi, welcome. How many focus on effectiveness? Okay, we have a few. I'm going to ask that again. How many focus on effectiveness? Okay, not all. Let's see and make sure that our definition of effectiveness is the same. So what does effectiveness mean to you? Effectiveness is when you're thinking about the future. Effectiveness is when you're being innovative. It's when you're being creative. You're creating an impact. That's effectiveness. And I'm going to give you some examples. How many use Uber? Yeah. You like it?
Love it.
I have to say, I love it. And I'll tell you why. I have grandparents. I adore, I love. Their safety is #1 concern for me. I'm here. I'm in Chicago. Guess what? My grandmother's got physical therapy she's got to do. I can't be at all places at all times. But I can get a car. Get an Uber. I know who the driver is. I've contacted them. They know exactly what she's wearing, what she's looking like, everything. So security, access, mobility. Wow. Now that's effective business mind. Now, did Uber come out and say, I'm going to create something for Volley's grandparents? No. But me as a consumer, I'm looking at ways to use that technology. But what Uber did, it's a mindset in being effective. Uber isn't being efficient because Uber's new, right? You have to create something to then be efficient. So now that Uber's come out into the market, now they can be efficient with the way they're doing things. Do you see the difference? Okay. No? We'll give you more examples. Absolutely.
So I don't use Uber. I consider it like a cab. Cab companies would then have to be more efficient in order to compete with Uber, because Uber is the new kid on the block.
You got it. That's right.
But they're essentially the same product.
Essentially. It's just Uber came out with a effective way to do things. And now as time goes on and new things are needed, Uber is going to cycle back to being efficient at the same time of being effective. But you need to be effective first. You need to have something, because we all agreed on the definition of efficiency means something needs to already exist so that you can be efficient about it. Right?
No. There has to be a problem.
So something exists.
Some disruption has to exist in order to create efficiency, because you got to have something to affect.
Yes. So you have to have you have to have something needs to be there to create that efficiency. Yes.
There has to be some element of something. In other words, there has to be a problem or something that needs to be fixed or
something needs to exist.
Or
A baseline,
enhanced.
and a baseline of established norm.
Correct. Something needs to be there, whether it's a problem, whether it's competition, whatever it is, so that you can be efficient about it. Okay? So we're all in agreement now? We're on the same page? Perfect. Great. So this one is very important, this bullet here. Growth and innovation continues. Oops. Growth and innovation, I'm left-handed, so I gotta use this one. Growth and innovation continues. It cycles through. So, as I mentioned, effectiveness, efficiency, and many times you are being effective again, coming up with something new so that you can be efficient about it again. All right. So, yes, sir. You're right. Uber versus taxi. So now the taxi services need to be efficient. And they need to also come up with something that's going to be effective. Something that they can impact. What are they doing? They're doing protests. Have everybody heard about that? The protests that are going on in Mexico, France, everywhere else. So, they're trying to create that fear. Somebody else said fear. So, when you're looking at being effective, sometimes it's created out of competition. And you're looking at efficiency. But is it always based out of competition? So it's not always based on competition. Who's heard of the Google, they name it either the driveless car or the self-driving program? Who's heard about it? It's pretty cool. I think it's cool. I don't know what you guys are thinking. A lot of people are hesitant. Is this thing going to work? How many accidents are we going to have? Not. But that thinking that Google did, what was that? The answer is right there. Does this work? It was effective. It was forward thinking. It's impactful. But there was a car accident, and I heard that it's not Google's fault, but some human driver who was texting who hit the self-driving car. So the incident occurred, or a problem occurred, right? So now an evaluation needs to happen. Okay, I think this is out of battery. The evaluation needs to happen, and then they need to circle back to being efficient and effective. Make sense?
So, like, being effective is like usually like a function of like invention most of the time.
It's a function of,
Like invention, some form of like.
it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
It's a new way of thinking. It doesn't have to be an invention. No, it's like, I need to be effective in my company because we haven't been doing social media. And we have to put an effective marketing program together. And it's something totally new we haven't done. But we need to be forward thinking.
So it doesn't need to be disruptive.
It doesn't need to be, but it needs to be impactful.
Okay.
It needs to make an impact. You can also innovate, be impactful based on your current brand. Everybody knows BIC? Yeah, I love BIC. And when it comes August, September timeframe, which is now, I'm always at the store. I'm still a little kid, love the different colors, love the, the pencils and disposable. Why is disposable? They're known for their disposableness. And orange is their main theme color. Practical, simple, functional, right? So they also do razors, but they kind of keep with the orange theme. So they expanded their branding, which is disposable, being disposable, but they're also constantly being what? Innovative, but I'm looking for either efficiency or effective. Effective. And I hope that their razor thing came out in 1970 something, and I hope that they're using new blades and they're being efficient, right? How many have seen the disposable cell phones, mostly in Europe? No one? No one travels? Okay, you guys need to travel more.
All my drug deals.
So in terms of BIC, they wanted to get into a new market, but they also wanted to keep their brand visibility, which is disposable. So the telecommunications, the cell phone, and being able to keep that branding, they were being effective in the Europe market, and they were also being efficient in being able to keep their branding. Yep?
On your last slide, under the word effective and efficient, you had some verbiage. So under effective, you had forward thinking, and under efficient, you had something I didn't capture.
Oops.
There's no going back.
There is no going back.
Okay.
Enhance, improve.
Thank you. So that's really what you're asking when you say, are they being effective? Are they thinking ahead? Are they being efficient? Are they trying to enhance or improve the existing?
I'm saying it's a cycle.
Okay.
So it's a cycle.
All right.
It's constantly, but if you're at a starting point, nothing exists, you want to be effective. You want to be impactful. So that's your starting point. You guys seen the Scott tube free?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody seen the tube free? So Scott went through some efficiency.
I think they were just being cheap.
I agree with you.
But that's an environmental impact because their paper product uses less paper. Is it on the cardboard?
So let's talk about
Like
the
I said, it's
tube.
being cheap. We
The
paid for it, give us our cardboard.
I love it. I love personality, and thanks for bringing it here. Let's talk about the tube company that was selling the tube to Scott, right? That's a lot of tubes. So what, they need to be
More efficient.
No,
Effective.
innovative.
They need to be effective in coming up with something new. So what I want you to do is to start triggering your minds and start thinking, doesn't have to be here, but think here, but think outside as well, of what that tube company would do. What are ways to be more effective? Go ahead.
Well, okay, and this is just my thinking. Wouldn't you have to come up with something to figure out whether or not if this will be effective or ineffective? So wouldn't you have to design something, innovate something that will eventually be effective to solve whatever issue that may exist?
So you need to be effective. Yep. So you're,
But you would be innovative first, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you think?
as I
of something?
answered that gentleman earlier, it's not always about being innovative. Innovative is how a lot of people think, but if it's based on your definition. So if you come to me and say, Molly, you didn't have a marketing program in your company and you needed to be innovative to have a marketing program, fine. That's being effective, if you want to look at it that way. So anything that you need to do to have an impact. So it's based on the definition. So what I'm saying is anything that has an impact. It can be innovative. I don't call having a marketing program being innovative.
But if you think of a way to make that marketing program effective, then you're being innovative.
Yes, but also I'm behind the curve maybe and saying, okay, let's catch up. And it's not something innovative in the marketplace. It's something that already exists. It's just that as a company, we weren't really focusing on it because it wasn't part of our business model. Okay? Okay. Gas and electric. How far we have come in the marketplace. Now think about all the other impacts going electric has caused. Just think about the little things. Like for example, now this doesn't have exactly gas and electric, but here at CompTIA, what did we do? It was so convenient having a charger and having your Wi-Fi's and having everything just conveniently right there, a station right there where you can charge, not looking around, driving yourself crazy. So what did an event like CompTIA or the hotel have to do? Or they had to create like Wi-Fi, for example. So they had to move with the movement so that they can be impactful for their customers. So isn't it great? I mean, the hotel, the Wi-Fi sometimes works, sometimes, but just imagine the hotel's Wi-Fi really worked. They have to change their system so that they can be impactful with the market. Okay? Real quick, write down 3 to 5 things going on in your company right now. I want 2 lists. 1 that's efficient, 1 that's effective. Real quick, 3 to 5 things. The first things that come, it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. It doesn't matter at all. Just the fact that you're writing it down. Just get it out of your head. Make it 1 bucket being efficient and 1 bucket being effective. Real quick. Okay. For how many people was that easy to do? Separate them. Very few.
Now that I have a better definition.
Now that you have a better definitions are important. Do you all agree? Do you all agree that definitions are important?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Definitions are very important. So, how many of you think that if you were to go back right now and in your company and you were to ask, guys, after going through definitions and explaining what the difference of efficiency and effectiveness is, assuming that they're not going to assume that they already know the definitions, but anyways, that you would get the same list. How many of you are confident that you would get the same list? Wow. No one raised their hand. All right. So we're going to put your mind in motion. One of the topics that I said I would cover is how do I implement a simple, repeatable process that is easily recognizable where I can make decisions and act on improvement opportunities to get our house in order and attract new business. In other words, how do I create a balance effect? So that I, write this down, write it down, so that you can what? How do I create a balance effect so that I, and it doesn't matter what your answer is. Just put the first thing that comes in your mind. If you were to create a balance effect in your company, what would happen? So that I, what? And it's very important for you to write this down, whatever the blank is. So you got to get clear on the what before you can apply the how. And today I'm going to cover the what and the how. Oops, other way. So how do I create that balance effect so that I, and that blank is really supposed to be your purpose. So who would like to volunteer what they wrote about what their definition of growth is? The very first question, please.
Increase net profit.
Increase net profit. Can I ask you, sir, you want to increase net profit to do what with?
Have fun.
Good. So you really want to create that balance effect so that I could have fun.
Yeah.
Who else wants to share?
Get my business to be self-sustaining. So
Get your business.
to be self-sustaining, so I'm not always working my ass off to get the job done, so that I can take more time off and spend more time with my family.
Exactly. So that I can spend more time with my family. You want to create that balance effect so that I can create more time with my family. One more. Who else wants to share? Please.
Sell a business for a meaningful amount.
Okay. To do what with?
Do something different. Get out of IT, do something more fun.
Fun! So that I can have fun! What a concept! What a concept! So I can spend time with my family, so that I can have fun, so I can live. Right? Is that the reason why you guys went into business in the first place? So you guys can live. So find your purpose. A lot of people come to me and say, I want to make money. Okay, to do what? I have no idea. Do you clearly know what you're going to do? A lot of people say, I want to grow employees. A lot of people think success is about the number of employees you have.
No.
Not true.
No.
Because you can outsource a lot of things nowadays. You can do a lot of stuff. And with the technologies going on, you can do payroll on your phone. There's so much going on. So, now looking at your current initiatives that you wrote down, that you broke off the efficiency and the effectiveness bucket, is that in alignment with your purpose? With your having fun, spending time with family? Is it?
Yes.
And it's going to keep, some of you are. I know I am. Okay. Revisit your purpose frequently because it'll constantly change. And are you fully committed? Are you fully committed to your purpose? Because that is what's going to drive change within your company. So evaluating items in your bucket. Step one of what? You want to be that, some of you might say, I'm that happy caterpillar. I'm happy. I'm doing great. I'm wonderful. There's always room for improvement, baby. Always. So it's a mindset preparation. Step one of what? A lot of people accept that change. A lot of people's employees have difficulty accepting that change. It's a mindset. And how do you get your employees to accept the change? How? You ask them what their purpose is. Why are they there? What's their purpose? Okay, cross-check your mind. And you might sit here and say, okay, I'm being very effective, I'm coming up with things, but in reality, when you're actually at work, and I've seen this happen so many times, when you're actually at work making decisions, when you need to invest in either efficiency or effectiveness, right then and there, think, and which one am I leaning towards? Am I leaning towards being efficient or effective? Because right now here, you might say one thing, but when you are in actual action right then and there, and you've got to make decisions, be conscious, be fully aware of what your body tells you to lean towards. Because when you're at that moment, you might be surprised that you're leaning to something else. Okay, so it's about having a balancing mind, having an intuitive and analytical mind. And is it organized or is it jumping around? Do you go to your team and say, you know what, we need to be efficient on blah, blah, blah. Oh, and by the way, what happened to these other programs? Why aren't we working on this? And well, does your team know? How are they acting? Do you guys have the same definition within the company? Okay. Judgment of others. Are we judging our team, our own team that we call family? We go to work and we say, no clue. And we spend so many hours with the same people, right? We spend a lot of hours, but what do? We assume. We assume that they know what's in our mind. We assume that they know what we think is efficient. We assume that they know what we think is effective. And we assume that they know what we think is priority. We're like, why isn't this done? This was we done. Like, we could go. Okay. So going back to the balance slide on the assumption versus fresh facts, and criticize. We criticize our own team. How many of us do that? Let's be honest. Yeah. Okay? How many of us doubt? I mean, no one raised their hand when I said, are we going to be, is your team going to be on the same page as you in your bucket list? So we doubt our own team, our own family members. Listening. How many of us go to work and say, you're going to do as I say?
Could it be the king?
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it feels really good. You're going to do as I say. But what if they have some sparkling idea?
That I have to adapt.
You have to actually listen.
Figure out a way to protect the
Really
church.
listen. Let me tell you, we go through exercises in our company where we go through non-judgment. We're coming in here, we're doing a meeting, and we're having a no judgment. You're free to throw out any idea, and we go on the board, and we start writing. We start writing, whatever, about a specific topic. Because that bad idea that I'm thinking, oh my God, that's a bad idea, but I'm not judging. I am not judging. That's a bad idea. Guess what? Something good comes out of it. There are no bad ideas. An idea starts from something, a good idea, just started from something that triggered along initially. Because not everyone's idea is going to be a great idea. Do you wake up every day and say, every idea I've had was fabulous, other than me? Other than me, do you wake up and say, everything I thought about today was just sparkling great? No, you can actually have some bad ideas. Wow, what a concept. You can have bad ideas. And guess what? That's okay. And you know what? That's okay for your team too. Expectations. So we have that expectations with our customers where we need to be within scope with our own customers, right? Not to over-deliver. But what about our own team? Have we looked at, some of us have technology that we look at to see how we're managing our resources. But are we really looking at what we're doing internally? It's about having true, non-judgmental, effective communication. Gotta love the turtle too. So the story of the turtle. Everyone's heard of the turtle and the hare story? Yes? What was that about? Judging. We were judging the turtle. Slowpoke. Never going to make it to the finish line. Not fast enough. But you know what? That turtle, that was a happy turtle. It was just marching along. It was doing its thing. And it was going, it was moving forward. It doesn't matter. It's not the speed. I used to work for a Hungarian. She used to say that there's a European saying that haste makes waste. Maybe that's not European because it's perfectly translated in English. So haste makes waste sometimes. Sometimes you just need to progress forward, even if you're a turtle. Definitions. I cannot express the impact of having the same definition. We went through an exercise in our own company. The word design meant 5 different things in our own company. And if I was to ask and I've done this exercise 10 times already. If I was to ask each and every single one of you, your definition of design would be different. How many marketing people do we have here? Good. How many engineers? How many research and development? Although some of the engineers might say I'm on the okay. So you really need to get consistent on your definition. It's so important. You observed it here today. The definition of effectiveness was different for everybody. Or most, or it wasn't consistent. Now we're on the same page. Same with workflow. For someone, the word workflow might mean application, and for someone else it might be the flow chart. Little things that have great impact because you could be saying something totally different. And having clear and consistent definition, and you really want to document your definitions and make sure everyone's in agreement. It results in more motivated and collaborative team and improved communication. Okay? Step 2 of what? Insight. What do I have? What am I dealing with? What's my current state? What's my current assets? What's going on? You need to have insight. Get organized. Document. All right, step 3, strategy. I am giving you the recipe, the ingredients for what goes into a strategy plan. This is also, it's also in my book, but I'm giving you the ingredients of strategy mapping. That is what you need for it. Because I want to get to the how, I'm not going to go into it too much. But I noticed a lot of people are taking photos. We have 3 more seconds for you to take a photo. All right, fear. Sir, you brought up fear. How many of you have fear of success? Admit it, it's okay, this is a non-judgmental. I had fear of success. Why? Oh, crap. More work. Do we really have to get that contract? Is there a way I can write that proposal so we don't win? I didn't do that, no. Shoot, totally shoot me right now. But we have that fear of success. Do employees in your company have fear of success? Do you know? Have you communicated? Do you have effective communication within your organization to know how they feel about success? Probably not. We don't know. Because we don't communicate. We don't know what's really going on. What's their purpose? Okay? So it's that haunting mental ghost. So the oh crap factor, actually my mentor, and he's a neuroscience researcher named Mark Waldman, came up with the crap factor. So crap is this anxiety of conflict. We have this conflict within ourselves. Or resistant. And we have this anxiety, we've got problems, we procrastinate. So if you notice people procrastinating, there's a reason for it. And it's better, instead of saying, why are you procrastinating? Get it done. What's holding them back? I think that's more of an effective conversation to have. That's one way to win people to your team, to get things moving, is to get them to open up. What's really holding them back? So, ways to break fear of success. One is acknowledge it. Go to them. Go to yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? It's okay. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, you know what? I am afraid of success. Why? Because I'm a competitive ballroom dancer and I want to dance. And competitions take practice. And the more successful we get, the less I get to practice. The less fun I get to have. I'm not saying business isn't fun. We make it fun. It's fun. But there's that audit thing that's not so fun that I have to deal with. Because with every contract that we go through, we have to go through audits. They're not fun. So I had to come through a mirror talk with myself and saying, it's okay. Let's figure out a way to work together. Let's figure out a way to resolve this within the company. And we resolved it. Okay, discussing it with yourself, with your team, accepting it, and then defining success, because for your team, the definition of success is going to be different. Okay? Review your purpose, your list, and figure a workaround. There's always a way. That's my motto. There is always, always, always a way. Figure it out. You can figure it out. You guys remember the story of the Prince and the Frog? Yes? It's about transformation. It's about leaping, transforming. transforming from that frog to the prince or the royal. Step 4 of what is performance. So getting clear, you know I had to have a dance picture in there if I just told you I'm a competitive dancer, so I had to include a dance picture there. So get clear on what you are measuring. And what you are measuring, is that consistent with what your team's measuring? And I'm not just talking about the technology, what they really think in their minds that they're measuring. And then confirm if you're in alignment with your purpose. So I'm going to let you know this is not a step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 cycle. It's a complete iterative cycle that you keep going on and on and on. And you cross-check again. Am I in line with my purpose? Am I in the right mindset? Is the team in alignment? Do we have really truly the right insights? When I get to performance, do we have what we needed to look at? What are we dealing with? What are you performing on? Okay, so I'm going to now address the how. And I know we're limited on time, but so we got clear on the what. We went through the steps. I'm going to address the how. And the how, if we don't have that much, and you really want to dive into it, it is in the book. But I wanted to mention that University of California, San Diego, Stanford University, Cornell University, Ivy League school has thus far adapted this in their programs. In addition, and the list is growing. I just heard Air Force Academy as well. So it's very important, write things down. Step 1 of how is when you are dealing with financials, what is the emotion you are going through when you're making decisions? When you are making decisions on financial, how are you reacting or responding to it? What's your behavior like? Okay? How are you making your predictions and your risks when it comes to financials? Be consciously and fully aware. Is it the same for the rest of the people in the organization? Step 2, customer intelligence. How are you targeting your customers? Okay? How are you identifying them? How are you strategizing? Get into the how. How are you convincing them to be loyal and connecting with you? So here, loyal is efficiency. Connecting with you is effectiveness. And I'm not expecting you to have all this memorized. It's going to get time. It's going to take time. You just need to practice it. And over time, it'll just become like this. Your mindset will, like I go to a store and I'm already thinking, okay, these are all the things that they could be improving on. Just start. Put yourself into action. Take action. But go through the process. Don't jump. A lot of people jump into how. How are we doing this? You're not doing the what. You're not doing the purpose. You're not doing all these other things. But you're going to the employees. How are we doing? Blah, 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 blah. Seriously? What about the other prior steps? Okay. We have a 6-step data intelligence program in our organization, but very quick. This is our data governance framework, and also we merged it with, this is like really the 6th reporter question. This is also in the book if you want to dive in. But basically, you can take a photo of it if you want. It goes through and it makes sure that within your organization, you are organized, you're putting your processes into a governance type of state. And you're making sure that you're going through all the questions so that you are getting your grounds covered. You know, who's involved, who's really involved. And the thing is, are you going through all those exercises? Okay? Step 4, how? Back to your employees. But I'm not just talking about employees here. I'm also talking about your partners. I'm also talking about your customers. Are you communicating? Are you communicating with your partners like you do with your employees? About your customers? Are you on the same definition with your customer? Have you come across your customer and customers like, why didn't we do this? Why didn't we? Well, it's because you guys were late on X, Y, and Z, and you didn't give me documentations, and you didn't do this, or so you have some communication issues with your customers. Instead of having a non-judgmental, respectful, collaborative discussion with your partners. Put the mind in motion. So this is in summary. I know I went by fast, but I wanted to give you a good overview. So we went through efficiency, effectiveness. We went through the what needs to be done, the 4 steps. Everybody knows what the 4 steps are? Transformation, insight, strategy, performance. The how. Nobody remembers? All right, I'll give it to you. The how is financial, customer, data, and mastermind. I want you to put your mind in motion now, today. I don't want you to wait till you come back from the conference and back to your comfort zone. I want you to start triggering thoughts. I want you to start thinking today. So, examples, airport. I want you to go through the airport. What would the purpose of the airport be? Hopefully to get us places safely, right?
Lose our luggage.
Lose our luggage. What would be effective and effective for the airport? What could they do? What could the airport do going through the what stages? What could they do with the how? Same thing with restaurants you're going to, the hotel, the baseball game. Because I'm going to do it, I'm constantly doing that. I put it into practice so much that it's a habit. And I'm trying to get you guys to get into a habit. And it doesn't matter. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to do it. Put it into action. Okay? Same with CompTIA. Now, I'm not saying walk up to CompTIA and say, these are all the things that here's a list of what I think your purpose is, and this is what you need to do, your what, and your how. I do that, though. When I go to restaurants, I can't help myself. I call the general manager, and I'm like, here's a few suggestions, and I need to stop doing that because they're not asking me. People are not asking you to help them change. But sometimes, as a teacher, you just can't help it. You want to help people. But it helps you practice. So go to a restaurant, go anywhere you need to do, and make sure that you're putting in the practice. So I know we're out of time. If you want to connect with me, please feel free to. I will be here. I will be here at the end of the conference. I know there's other things scheduled. I greatly appreciate everybody's time for coming to the session. And I look forward to your questions. And I hope I triggered some aha moments for you. If I did, please let me know what they are. And maybe 3 months down the road, maybe not today, but 3 months down the road, you're at your client site or you're in your office or something triggers. You know what? I remember Vale saying this. And it created an aha moment. Now I get it. Let me know. I would love to hear from you guys. Thanks for coming.